As much as I've learned that everybody tries to say that the why isn't about money, and I
Mhm.
disagree. I think to myself that a lot of times money is the why. We had one of our clients and they own a number of self-storage units to the point that that they didn't need to add on any more units. So the question I had to ask is, why do you guys get up in the morning and do this? And because we just love doing that. Like they love
Yeah.
looking at the bank account and seeing it rise.
Welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. In this podcast, I bring you insights, experiences, and lessons from real estate investing professionals at all stages of their journey, along with industry experts who provide essential services to you to help you to succeed. Our goal is to empower you with the knowledge and strategies needed to build a personalized real estate investing plan that aligns with your unique goals. If you enjoy this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It helps me to continue to share valuable content with you. My name is Debbie Balfour, and I'm a real estate investing professional and a real estate investing success coach. Real estate investing isn't a one-size-fits-all. Your strategy should be unique as you are.
Today on the Let's Talk Real Estate Investing podcast, I am absolutely thrilled to introduce a guest whose perspective feels like a breath of fresh air in our investing world. Russell Coltis is my guest today, and this conversation is going to spark something big. I know it for all of you out there. We're diving in from passive to participatory, why real estate investing is changing and how BuildShare fits into it. So BuildShare is the company that Russell has created, and you'll find out all about that. And you're about to see why the traditional way of investing no longer matches the way real estate is actually built today. Russell's a tech entrepreneur turned infill real estate developer. So he's blending design thinking, execution discipline, and genuine community building in a way that feels refreshing and what I feel long overdue. He serves on the board of the OREIO, that's the real estate group in Ottawa. He leads Ottawa's infill development business tours, and he's founded BuildShare, as I mentioned before. It's a platform that's bringing people back into real development through ownership, education, and hands-on. So you heard that education part, and as a coach, this is what really appealed to me. And I reached out to Russell to say, would you like to be on my podcast? At a time when housing supply is tight and investors are feeling really uncertain, the investor trust is really uncertain out there. Russell is offering a path that feels innovative, transparent, and truly human-centric. So let's jump into this powerful conversation with the incredible Russell Coltis. So welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate Investing, Russell. Before we get into talking more about BuildShare and what you've created, tell me a bit about yourself. How did you go from tech entrepreneur to real estate?
Yeah, thanks, Debbie. Listen, it's a great honor to be on your podcast. And I know that running these things is difficult, but going out and getting people on the podcast is also a chore. But I jumped on this opportunity right away. I love what you're doing, and I thought it was a great opportunity to have a chat and get for even both of us to get to know each other a bit.
And why not share that as we're getting to know each other with
Absolutely,
everybody else?
absolutely. I think we're very aligned on that. Ask me what my background is. My background is self-taught graphic designer, background in marketing. And I had started a company many, many years ago in web development in marketing called Bionic. And the name Bionic was because I just loved Steve Austin from the $6 Million Man TV show. And I thought, we could do it better. We could make it faster, stronger, better. And it was because I had this other graphic design company that I was working on, and things were changing. Web was just coming up, and that's just showing you how old I am, I guess. And we thought, hey, you know what? We can build something a lot better and help more people. So Bionic was born. We ran that for a number of years as a web development firm, focusing a lot of our attention on mid-size companies. And then we ended up growing from there into developing software and for other people in the SaaS-based field. And then we decided that we wanted to build our own product. The recent one that I was with was it's called Sweat Crew. And that was a company that worked with organizations that provided fitness and wellness benefit for their employees. So imagine you were mentioning before you were at Telus. They were one of the companies that had said Rich initially had started to work with as well, but things changed very, very quickly. But to get to that story, let's say the employee gets $500 a year to spend on wellness, gym memberships, whatever the case may be. Fantastic. Our client that we were selling to was HR departments. They were really interested in focusing on the culture of their organization. And the reason why they came up with this budget was to attract talent. So one of the questions we kept on seeing was that how does this budget actually retain employees as well? So we devised Sweat Crew, and we thought that the idea was that employees that sweat together stay together. To get the benefit, people would have to. We had a small test market that we went after, and they would have to let us know what their favorite fitness type was. So whether it was running, yoga, CrossFit, didn't matter. But if you checked off those, you were now part of the company's yoga crew, walking crew, and CrossFit crew. And you'd see, here's all the places you can go and do it. And here's what employees are interested in. And we gave them opportunities to create events around those things. So somebody can create the noon hour walking club or a challenge. Everything was in the tool. It was great. We had a lot of feedback. People were now jumping on board. And right when we just started getting this traction, COVID hit.
Oh, goodness.
And we're in the wellness.
And this is about community.
Oh, yeah.
Bringing people together.
Bringing people in a time when no one wants to get together.
Right.
I'm not even allowed to get together. So now we're at this point where what do we do? How do we shift? And we thought, well, maybe it's about creating, allowing people to use the budget for other things. Maybe somebody wants a stand-up, a sit-down desk, maybe a Peloton bike, whatever the case may be. But it was such a disconnect from the brand promise that we had.
Yes. All around community.
We're trying to bring people together. Yeah. And all of a sudden, there isn't I mentioned crews, for example. And you can't have the stand-up and sit-down crew. Can't have the Peloton crew, really. This didn't work, right? With the treadmill crew. So we ended up, at that point, I realized that if we spent more time trying to get this to work, the whole entire ecosystem that we were working with had changed. HR was no longer focusing on culture. They were focusing on survival. Figuring out how to get employees to work from home. And we figured, yeah, you know what, we could probably do this for another 10 years and it'll come back, but I don't have another 10 years, guys. And I was really burnt out and I just wanted to figure out what to do next. And so it just took a little bit didn't realize how burnt out I was and how much of an impact it was. I mean, from an ego side of things as well, you realize like your business is not working out. And, when people ask you how things are going, it's just, you don't even want to hear that. So you kind of hide in your cave for a bit. But coming out of that, I thought, okay, maybe a different startup, a different idea. Started working on some other ideas. I just wasn't passionate about the development side of things anymore. The amount of effort and money you have to put into building a tech startup is really, really high. What doesn't change is that the average number of businesses that don't work out. You spend a lot of time trying to figure out your product, but you also have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out the market. And your product has to fit that market. And what I mean by that is that there you have to come looking for your product. Are you really solving a problem? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we were at the time, but with those changes, it was clear that things were changing and I had to change with it. And I had met some people that were into real estate, and I never took real estate seriously before. We owned a few properties, but I thought it was really big, really bigger than me, right? Where you drive by buildings, and I really did think that these 200 unit apartment buildings, which you drive by downtown Toronto, you go into Riverside, wherever the case may be. I thought they were like the pyramids. They were always there. You never think about it, right? I don't know how it got there. Who would have put that there?
I always thought it was like really rich people that owned it. I didn't know that it was people like you and I putting our money together and creating it. Yes. I thought they were rich people. Yeah. And only rich people like Donald Trump's.
Right. So so my thing was kind of like, oh yeah, that's not for me. My big thing was, I'm going to get the triplex, right? This is what I'm working on now. And I remember meeting a friend of mine that, he had said, no, triplex, Russ, what are you talking about? going to have to use the mortgage is going to be in your own personal name. It's not commercial. He's telling me all these things. And then he started showing me, introduced me to other people that were buying and selling properties. And they're in the millions for these things. And I kept on thinking, you know how hard we have to work to sell $1 million startup? And these guys are just doing it as an everyday thing. And I said, I really have to look into this, because one of the biggest problems with doing a tech startup is that you have to learn how to change human behavior, right? It's, if I created a brand new Facebook for you, for example, and I said, this is my new product I created, it's a competitor to Facebook. I now have to convince you to leave what you're doing right now, provide enough value that you're going to come over here and tell everybody about it, bring all your friends. Really, really hard. You know how much energy you have to go into to explain to someone about real estate? It's always been there. As long as you learn the fundamentals, hey, you could be on your way, right? And I liked that, where I could spend more time on telling the story of what we're trying to build, because that was the fundamental of business that didn't change. So making that shift over to real estate was the big thing. What we were going to do in real estate, that was the next part of trying to figure that out.
Interesting. What was my big thing I always ask people is, what's your why for doing it? Because all of us, like, it's not just about money. Money is facilitating something. So what's your why, Russell?
You know, for me, I've always put money at the front of it anyway, right? As much as I've learned that everybody tries to say that the why isn't about money, and I disagree. I think to myself that a lot of times money is the why. We're here because sometimes, like if you were talking to an extremely wealthy person and they were running their businesses, you know, we had one of our clients and they owned a number of self-storage units, and to the point that they didn't need to add on any more units. So the question I had to ask is, why do you guys get up in the morning and do this? And because right now it's just adding zeros to your bank account. He goes, because we love it. We just love doing that. Like they love looking at the bank account and seeing it rise.
So they love to see the money. What do you want to do? What is your thing to do? So being from tech also, and also process improvement, I always use the 5 whys, right? So,
yes.
why do you want that money? Why does that money?
Yeah, you know what? It's from a very egotistical area, which I'll don't claim to be anything greater than human. It's an ego thing. You just want to say like, hey, look at my bank account. Which is right. What? That's one. But mainly, really, it's about for me, it would be mostly security. I grew up. My parents, when we were younger, they divorced. My mother was a single mother of 4 kids. We lived in Ottawa housing in one of the poor neighborhoods, but I never grew up feeling like I was poor, you know. But when you get to a certain age, you realize there's people out there that have things that you don't have, and they're doing things that you're not doing, and it's the difference is that they just have more money than you, right? So if I can get this layer out of the way, then I can achieve those things. And really, it was just that. But for me, because I came from the projects, I guess you could say, low income housing, is that you also you're also fearful of that you might actually.
Yes.
And so that was a key thing, that you're always trying to think about security, like not going back, but at the same time, like maintaining who you are, which is like self-understanding of what you want to accomplish, which is difficult, right? So let's say, for example, if I decided to be a teacher, but I also want to have a garage full of Porsches. It's very difficult to kind of make those two things work. If you want to be the guy who has a garage full of Porsches, not saying that I want Porsches.
My son does.
Right. But you have to adjust your goals and mindset in order to go for those things. And so it really just comes down to the self-awareness and really accepting yourself, all the good, but at the same time, all the bad. It's just who you are, right? We spend so much time trying to figure out how to improve the negatives in ourselves, as opposed to just, that's not going anywhere. Spend all your time trying to improve the good things that you're good at, you know, like, and it's one of those things that sits in you when you ask. I heard this when there are two people, and you ask a wealthy person, like, why are you so wealthy? And he's like, well, I just double down on what I'm good at, right? Where you ask other people and they'll say, well, what I'm not good at, I'm going to try and learn how to be better at. It's like, listen, if you suck at accounting, don't do accounting. Go find an account. Don't do it.
Hire somebody else. I totally
hire
agree.
somebody else. Because what are you going to do? You're never going to like it.
No,
you're not going to like it, right?
And you're just going to punish yourself, and it's going to take you longer and take you away from what you love doing.
You know, you're reminding me of something here right now. I remember when I was younger, and before I started my company Bionic, I was a friend of mine was working at Sun Life. Sun Life now. It was Clerica back then. That's again showing how old I am. And he said, Russ, you should come in. I think you'd be great at selling life insurance. You you could talk, you can meet people. You're good at this. So I went in, filled out the application, went through the interviewing process, and at the end of it, they said, "You're going to be great, Russ. We'd love to have you." And I sat there and I thought about it for a bit, and I went in and I said, "Listen, do you think I'd make more money as a brain surgeon?" And I said, "Well, of course, you want to make more money as a brain surgeon." I said, "Here's the thing, though. I don't want to be a brain surgeon, right? And I don't want to sell life insurance." So
Yeah.
ultimately, I had to decide that the thing that I'm going to do is going to be painful, right? If you're going to start a business and that's your personality, it's going to be painful,
Yeah.
right? There's going to be ups and downs. You literally have to kill what you eat. That's just going to be your life. And if you're not killing something, or you're the hunter, you're not finding anything, it's going to be a bit tough. You're going to get a little hungry, but it is who you are. So I just leaned more into that, accepted who I was, on the good and bad, and I'm on this side of the aisle now.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's great, Russell. I think it's something that I shared with my children too. It was I remember when my son was, in his last few years of high school, and he was trying to find what career he was going to go into, and he was looking it up based on how much money could he make, right, from it.
Right.
And so I was saying to him, no, what do you like doing? Because whatever you enjoy doing, you can be great at it. But if you're
Yes.
doing
Yes.
something that you don't like, it doesn't matter if that salary cap, what that salary amount is, you won't grow, you won't enjoy it,
Grow.
and you won't be
Yeah.
successful.
You'll obviously
So do
self-sabotage.
yes. Yeah. And my boys took that to heart, and they're both entrepreneurs now and doing well. So
Fantastic.
and
Yeah.
I'm not the parent that says, "Oh, you have to go to university, you have to study this, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer."
Right. Right.
Right? I wanted them to be successful. And I have one son, he's a very successful social media content creator. Now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the
Let's,
tough part, of trying to figure out, because you want to tell them what to do, and at the same time, you got to give them enough space to
you
actually
have
be
to.
there, the person that they're gonna be, and you have to accept it. And I think that's the hardest thing too. So
Yeah.
trust
So
me, I would
you
love
want
for
to,
my kids to be doctors and lawyers and stuff.
yeah, I just wanted my kids to enjoy their life. And so that's,
Yes. Yes.
I don't, just me as a parent, I'm not going to, tell this to other people, but, that they should do this. But for me as a parent, it was more important that my kids did what they enjoy than trying to live my life for me, or,
Right.
I wish I had done or something like that. So
You got it.
so let's talk a bit about BuildShare, and what problem did you see in real estate investing that ultimately led you to creating BuildShare? Because as a tech entrepreneur, your mind was always, to create a product, we always think it needs to be a problem that people want solved out there.
Yes.
What was the
Yes.
problem that you saw?
When we were talking just before we jumped on, and we were about that, and and how we kind of got to that point. And when I decided to get into real estate, I realized there's just so much that I didn't know, that I had to take a number of courses. It's just the first layer, what's out there, what do people know? We joined up to an organization that I thought was fantastic. I still think is great. Met a lot of people. Coach was fantastic. We're good friends to this day. And so we learned all the fundamentals. We learned how to underwrite, and how to create the performance. And one of the things that came out was that, because I'm now, the business side of me kicks in, and I'm like, what is this? What am I building here? I just can't go out and buy a 10 unit building or a 16 unit building. What's the ultimate outcome that you're looking to achieve? And when I really realized it's got to be, because we were just talking about business and what does that look like? I look at business, or the product that you're selling, as something that you have on a shelf, right? And your product's on the shelf and another person's product on the shelf. And your question you have to ask is, why should somebody choose your product? What does your product have to do? And remember, you're selling the same thing. You're selling, pasta sauce, and the other guy's got pasta sauce. What's the difference here? The jars are exactly the same too. Maybe it's what you say on that jar that's on there, the colors of of what you're doing, maybe the marketing that you brought in. But you also have to ask, how many jars do you want to sell? Like, how many do you need to sell, and then how many do you want to sell in order to get to the goals that you want to achieve? And so that made me realize that I just couldn't, when I looked at just the buy and hold side of things, I like it. I thought it was fantastic, but I'm not at the right age. I thought to myself that to do that, I figured I'm 50. I don't want to get a payout in 20 years from now. Clearly at the very beginning, I was looking at this, not in the sense that of all these other opportunities, really just like we talked before, just in a matter of what does Russ want to do? Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And one thing I liked about the software and web world. I liked creating products. Loved it. I like creating products. I love dealing with people. I liked having solving that problem. And I felt that real estate was gonna do that for me. With buy and hold, I couldn't get that to work. But with building something new, I thought, I don't have to be an architect to hire an architect to build something that I like. And I like this whole idea of building a product. But then when I started going through the underwriting for it, I realized that there was a window of opportunity that's happening right now. Whereas maybe in the most recent past, we were building a bunch of single family homes and condos and stuff. Now we're at a point that that has changed. The economics have changed. We go in cycles. That this is life.
Mm-hmm.
What is the opportunity right now at this moment in time? And we looked at when we did the numbers for BuildShare, the opportunity has completely presented itself. I realized that when I was looking at investing, I really wanted to recycle my capital a lot faster. I didn't want to lock in $100,000 over, 10, 20 years. I wanted to put it in, get the money out. I wanted to build a large amount of inventory in a short period of time. And I found that infill development was capable of doing that. When you run the numbers, things started to make sense. But I still didn't have enough knowledge in terms of how to do it. When you talk to anybody about it, there's a reason why a lot of people are not doing it. Raising capital is really, really hard. And understanding what can go wrong, because once you have a hole in the ground, I mean, you've got the risk is really, there's a hole in the ground. There's only value when the hole's filled in and there's something on top of it, which is one of the reasons why the risk is high and why the lenders, the lending rates are so high on this, because it all makes sense that the risk is there. So
and that's why they do it in tranches too.
Exactly. Do it in tranches because they never want to be in a position where you gave all the money and then the project didn't work. So they want to make sure that there's enough incentive for you to finish. But I didn't know a lot about it. So what I ended up doing last year is that I wanted to talk more with a lot of builders, developers, started talking to people, and these guys were all busy. And I figured that how can I bring value? Again, this is just me. I'm always about bringing value. I'm always about how can we create an ecosystem of collaboration? So I thought, let me just create this thing called the Ottawa Infill Bus Tour. And I'll contact some of these guys and see if they're interested in showcasing their properties. So I contacted one of my past investors. He had said, yes, I would. I know some people who own some builds. So he introduced me to a few people. I called up a few, and we had, I think 3 or 4 locations for the first bus tour. And we went we rented the bus, got a restaurant that we were going to go to after for a networking lunch, sold the tickets, and we sold out. Okay, this is good. People are interested. When we got on the bus, we went to the first location, and the person we met was a friend of mine named Bruce. He owns the building. And we bring in these 15 people. We go into the lobby, and we introduce Bruce. Here's the group. We're all interested in learning about this building. And Bruce starts off by saying, I would recommend that none of you get into infill development. You will lose your shirt. This is not a place that people can go. This is very, very difficult. And I looked at everybody's face and I started thinking, do I have to give them back their money? Where do I go from here? Thinking, what do I do? What do I do? I go, no, Bruce, that's a great point that you bring up. The making sure that these things are properly financed and make sure that we're correctly stewarding people's capital is extremely important. You need to understand that you can't lose their money, right?
Yes.
And I said, Bruce, and tell us the worst things that you had to go through, how you got through those things. And anybody here, what questions do you have for Bruce regarding this topic? And the bus tour it was crazy. The questions kept coming and coming. I was a passenger now on my own bus tour, writing down the questions where people were asking, the answers that were coming. I didn't even know what I should have been even asking that question. Thank goodness I brought all these other people. And I realized when you surround yourself with people who are just as passionate about something as you, they're going to bring something that you don't even know. These passengers on the bus, worked out great. They taught me a lot. I held my second bus tour, and I probably think about half of them came back for the second one and the third one. And we still learned from all these different developers. People wanted to be a part of it. And it worked out so great that I met planners, we met architects, we met the developers. We've made sure that every tour was about telling us what was the worst thing that you guys had to deal with. So it was
Right.
our own personal education. And then the networking lunch, that was great. And then what ended up happening is our last one, we had the City of Ottawa official also join us on the bus tour. Incredible, you know. And what was really great is that at the end of the bus tour, we're at the restaurant, and the road outside was actually getting fixed, was under repair. And the city official says, you know what, Russ, can I say a few words? I said, yeah, absolutely. So he got up and he's talking in front of a window, but out in the back, there's a crane digging up the road. And I'm thinking, could this picture be any better? Right? Like, oh my God, we're talking about infill development and there's construction going outside. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, we learned a lot from that, and we learned the gave us the ability to meet all these partners to build with. But the whole BuildShare then came out of that, right? Where I had realized that, you know what, there's so many people I met on this bus tour that want to actually build as well, but we just don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. And I thought, you know what if and I looked at my capital stack for the project that I wanted to do. What if I left out 4 or 5 spots at $25K each, something small enough that people can get a little bit of skin in the game, but these people own this business. Yes, we're going to have our common LP investors. They're going to put in 100, 125K, but we're going to leave $100,000 chunk here for these student investors. I hate using that.
And it would be under the GP.
They would be under that, yes. And then what ended up happening is that they would have to, because the way we structured, they have to actually be involved in order to be a part of this. So they would be involved in the architecture, in the financing, in the takeout financing, in the lease up. This is their building. I thought for $20K, which I spent just a little bit less than that on my education, but I didn't get anything back for it. Imagine spending the $25K, owning that building and getting a return. I shouldn't be saying the return part out loud, but as an investor, this is what you expect.
You're hoping for a return.
You're hoping for the return.
Yes.
And the feedback was incredible. My goodness. Builders wanted to put their projects on the BuildShare. I said, hey, we're just starting with our own project first. But we're at a position right now that we're looking at building our first project out of the ground this spring. We're just waiting for the zoning bylaw to change in Ottawa, which is fantastic. I mean, all these lots that are now going to go up to 11 meters high. We could build up to 8 to 10 units on a lot. So there's a lot of opportunity. The point is that how would you be able to take advantage of that opportunity? I figured if you can name BuildShare, it's like build it and let's share this together. It all just came together. You know, when we're kicking off this year, we thought to honor the developers that actually helped us lay the foundation. We basically came up with, we're having an award ceremony at the end of the month. This is one of the awards that they will get. It's actually made out of concrete, okay? Custom made out of concrete with these nice angles and stuff with this UV printing on it. And the whole idea was to honor, to say like, hey, you helped us lay the foundation for our company. So let's, we want to thank you for that. And so we have multiple bus tours coming up for 2026. We have our new build that's going to be coming out of the ground. We'd like to do 2 of them this year. We have a few spots left for investing into this project, and we have another one that we're looking to kick off in the fall. But Debbie, it came back to what we were talking about earlier was the business. What is the business? Yes. And it's one thing for me when I was talking to people about, hey, I'm in infill development. We're doing this project. It's kind of like, okay, Ross, you're doing one project. So is everybody else. Right. When we come in and say, well, know what? This is the story. The stories that we're helping other people to build, that we're teaching them to build. And at the end of this build, we recycle the capital for people. The idea is that we know that maybe, the 80-20 rule will kick in. 20 people, 2%, 10% will probably want to build. So we're expecting at least one student from every cohort that will want to build their own project. Our investors that we've already got into our project will now invest into their project. Right?
Now they've got a track record.
They got a track record.
A professional project that was successful.
Right. And it's their project, which now they can leverage to get the next investor. And BuildShare would now invest with those investors. So it'd be a continuous thing. So our goal over the next 3 years is to build 10 units. So basically 100 units over that time. And each building is probably worth about $3.5 million. So we're basically saying we want to build an inventory of $35 million and share this with people who want to join this, join our community essentially. So we now have planners and architects, people who want to be in this, and we're vetting them. Or we even have an online community that's going to be launching. That if you wanted to get into building, you join into the BuildShare community, and you'd be able to meet everybody. You'd be able to essentially create your team inside of this application to say, I need to have an architect. Drag that over. Here's all the architects, pick one, and here's all the past projects they worked on. All the stuff that I had to go through to try to find all these to build something. I want to make this easier. I don't want to. It should be easier that the people who live here in Ottawa, live in Canada, should be able to build the country themselves. We shouldn't always be looking for other people to do this. We should be able to have the knowledge to do it. And I think that creating an environment for people to easily do that, we're sharing together the wins and the losses, right? And helping each other get through the hard times. I think that's the biggest thing, because it's very easy for everybody to talk about sunny days. Who doesn't love a sunny day? You don't need your umbrella. You can take the rooftop off your car. It's great. But when it rains, you want to be the Boy Scout, right? You want to make sure that, hey, is there an umbrella in your back of your car? Do you have a jack to change your tire just in case that you have a flat tire? This is what we plan for.
Yeah.
These are the things that we need in order to truly enjoy that sunny day. We know one day it's going to rain. That's okay. We're ready for it.
Yeah.
And I have a group of people around me that are actually and I'm surrounding them as well, that we can actually get through this together.
Beautiful. So you've got everything's mitigated. You've got the experience for all those risks, like you talk about the umbrella.
Yes, absolutely.
Your risk mitigation.
And even saying all of that, I'm still the dumbest guy in the room. I'm still learning.
That's the way you want to be.
Yeah.
Have you thought about expanding this concept out to different provinces?
We want to we're trying to stay laser focused on what we're doing right now, get the first project out. We have only so many hours in the day. So we know that we want to do these 3 bus tours. We want to build 2 buildings. We want to launch the community. All that being said, Debbie, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
my mind's going right now. Like, oh my gosh,
how
how can I partner with Russell and do the same thing here in Vancouver?
That's exactly what we want to do. We want to have BuildShare Ottawa.
Yeah.
We're looking right now to do the bus tours in Toronto, just because people have been asking us to put a bus tour in Toronto. They love it in Ottawa, but they don't have one. I'm like, how do you guys have it over, these 5 million people living in Ottawa, and we never had a bus tour for the infill development? So we thought, yes, everybody can start their own infill development bus tours. Yes, they can all start their own BuildShare. But you know how much faster we'd all go there to get there if we all do it together?
Yeah.
And this isn't an environment where only I win because it's BuildShare. No, BuildShare is just a brand. The projects are the projects, right? So if you said, Russ, I want to do BuildShare in Vancouver. Great. And my thing would be that it's a great brand to have out there, but it's your project. Now, for me to be involved, I would have to invest in that project. That's how that would work. It wouldn't be me just saying, okay, I own all the buildings. It's not how it works. It's designed in order to help everybody kind of elevate together, all of us together, really making sure that when people I'm not saying that people shouldn't have education in infill development. One of the things I actually left out for a second there is that we're not really teaching people about cap rates and NOI and stuff. The whole expectation is that you've already taken a course.
You've got the mental.
You've got that. Yeah. So in our system, what we end up having, we have a few course partners already, where you sign up, and if you've already taken that, you don't have to actually choose a course. But if you signed up, then there's a select number of courses in your area that you get to choose from. And we actually pay out fees to that course. So they get a win out of it as well. And we're basically feeding people into their program as well as they're feeding people into our program. So we look at it like those courses are the BA, and we want to look at BuildShare as being the master's, the MBA, right? Where you're just graduating. We're not stepping on anybody's toes. We're all in this together. This is the ecosystem.
Yes.
We're all putting it together. We're having this award ceremony. We want to have this in Ottawa. We'd love to do it in Vancouver and in Toronto. Absolutely. I'd like it to be a Canadian thing. There's awards for the infill, awards for favorite building, awards for the person who raised the most capital. These are the things that we're looking at, that we really got to, in order to really make things work, we've got to basically celebrate the wins as well.
Amazing.
So, work hard, play hard.
Why does this moment in the housing cycle make this type of hands-on development more important than ever before?
I think there's an intersect of a few things that are happening right now. One, we have financing. That's a big deal. We have that CMHC has their MLI Select program. In my opinion, CMHC is a fantastic vehicle for building new. And I think this is where they want to, if you're familiar with all the changes that keep happening in CMHC for MLI Select, what you end up realizing is that they actually want to build more inventory. They don't want people just to trade properties all day. It doesn't add any more property or anything else to the ecosystem. So if I buy your building using MLI Select, great. It keeps that inventory there, but it doesn't really provide. There's no net new units being created. So those changes you see that's happening, it's really geared towards new build. They really do want that new build, and you're going to see right away that it's how quick can you get that? If you're going to build a 200 unit building, that's going to take you 7 years. I'm sorry, that's a long time to wait to solve a problem. You do, 8 units, 10 units, and we can do multiple of those at the same time. We could solve that in 10 to 12 months, a year, and have these units to start coming out. And that's one of the reasons why we chose this area, because it all aligned. One of the partners that we have on board is a planning company here in Ottawa, and they're used to helping build these very large towers. And he said, Russ, it takes us 3 to 4 years planning, just planning city permits, all this stuff that has to go in. And then we finally break ground. And that's going to take us another 5 years to build. So we're probably looking at about 7 years, give or take here and there. He says, what you're doing is that we can build the same 100 units and there is no site plan control. Stay below the site plan control, 10, 12 units. In Ottawa, it's about 10, 12 units right now, which means that we could build the same level of products, but faster. And here's the thing, because we take out all that planning stage, the build stage still stays the same. It's just that now we're just doing it without the planning. Those 10 units, those 100 units done in 3 years. That was a challenge because originally, Debbie, I was thinking 5 years to a year, that's doable. And then I was challenged when the planner says, Russ, no, you should be doing this in 3 years, doing those things. And I was like, well, why though? Why? He goes, because the investors are going to like it and you're going to push yourself to get in to build.
Paying them back earlier and then they
can invest faster and being able to recycle the money. That was the real key thing right now. That is our ability to recycle the capital on these particular projects. So if we can return, in some cases, maybe up to 100%. In other cases, we can return up to 80% in 12 months. Guess what? The next thing is, here's the next project you can keep your money in. So imagine now that you are in a 60-40, 70-30 split, you own 30 to 40% of the building, and you have no capital in the building, no risk, nothing at risk. That is a fantastic investment, right? Where, in my opinion, at a loan to value, when we're done, we're not looking at this from an idea of just being 95%. We're saying the loan to value would be we're trying to make sure that we're only at about 80% loan to value make sure that in 5 years, when we do have to refinance, you're not going to refinance. You don't want to refinance 95%. There's no room for error. Something goes wrong, interest rates, whatever. We live in volatile times. We need to act accordingly and plan for that. Again, sunny day, rainy day stuff. Let's just plan for the rainy days all day. And then when the sunny days comes, we just enjoy them. So we're ready for that. 5 years, we'd like to make sure that our loan to value comes down to about 65%. And for me, that's a great space to be, because as soon as we get to that area, that's a great point to refinance at a point where it makes sense for the project, it makes sense for the investors, and we give people multiple exits. So people can get in on multiple projects, they can get off on multiple projects as well. So on-ramps and on-ramp exits at the same time, which makes it very, very clean, because everything is a separate project with different architects and different investors that might be in different locations, but we're all doing this together to have this massive win. So we're really excited about it. It's something that everybody keeps telling us it's a good idea. We're just trying really hard right now to execute on that. But Debbie, now you're challenging me to go to Vancouver. So
yes.
Let's do it.
I know a person who does infill development right now on the island and here in Vancouver. So yeah.
Yeah, we should set up a chat and see how we can make it work.
So as you're talking about infills and that, and the turnover, etc., and the difference between building a big building or building a whole community.
Yeah, you can either go this way or go this way.
It reminds me of, again, since you came from a tech background, development background, so did I, the difference between when we did things from agile development to waterfall development. And you're
Yes.
putting out the whole thing of waterfall was you wait to create this perfect product with all the bells and whistles, and you took 3 years and then you give it to the market and the market didn't want it.
Which we see a lot in the Toronto condo market right now, right?
Yeah.
It takes that long to plan. People bought the pre-sales, and all of a sudden, boom.
No, condo is not a thing.
That's not a thing.
Everybody's back to is now multi-generational.
Yeah, and it's a cycle. I mean, there was a time that happened before, and we'll switch back. Hopefully, we'll see things but we're essentially just going through a market correction, and in whether that's for us, still there's an absolute amazing opportunity to take advantage of that as well. So let's do it. And then this goes back to what we were talking about at the very, very beginning of our conversation. Yeah, let's make some money.
Yes.
And then we can go and we can go and figure out what we want to do with our lives with that money.
Definitely. Right? So how do you see BuildShare fitting into the broader real estate investment ecosystem alongside like traditional investors, developers, and the institutions that are out there?
Absolutely. So, yeah, that's a good question. What we ended up trying to do is make sure that we were already fitting in to the current ecosystem. One of the things we always found very difficult in tech is that most people, and you have to be kind of a little crazy when you're starting a tech company, right? Because it's like a religion. You're basically saying you believe this thing is going to work. You believe it. And everybody's thinking you're crazy.
I build it, they will.
You have no evidence of why this thing should work, but you have to believe it or you'll just never do it. Yeah. You'll never start the company. So when we look at building this as a business, and you had mentioned before, how does this fit into the current ecosystem? We are currently trying to fit into the ecosystem as is, right? There's connectors because of things have changed. Things are still there. It's just a matter of how do you actually bring these puzzle pieces together? In business, is just, once you put all the puzzle pieces in the right place, boom, you have a Shopify. If you don't get them in the right areas, well, then you have something left. And you have to figure out what that combination would be. For me, it's when I find with most businesses, what we end up doing is that we forget about the gap, right? We think about the business as it's currently. We imagine it working, and it looks great. It's fantastic, great. It'd be like, this is the success of what it's going to look like. This is where I'm going to be. But then you forget the chasm that you have to jump and to get to that actual result. And here's the thing nobody tells you, right? You could die in trying to jump the chasm, right? You're Evel Knievel. Like maybe your motorcycle doesn't go all the way across the canyon. So what are you going to do? Well, make sure that you test everything out. How much gas and speed that you need to do. Use all the stuff that we were talking about. You had mentioned waterfall and agile. Maybe some people don't understand what that is, but
yes,
what waterfall would be just making sure that you're doing, in order for you to get from point A to point B, you're going to do this, and then you're going to do this, then you're going to do this, then you're going to do this. It takes a long time before you get to the actual finished result. A bit of approach, which is agile, is basically you giving yourself a small sprint, saying in this week or 2 weeks or this month, this is what we're going to accomplish. And this, at the end of that, this is what's going to be working. We're trying to do the same thing with BuildShare. There's so many things that we'd like to do. Clearly, yes, we'd like to make sure that we're at, $100 million, but at the same time, we want to make sure that product on the shelf is something that people are going to buy at.
Before you build all the bells and whistles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that means that I don't know what the best color that we should use. I just know that we're selling pizza sauce. So let's not create a shipment of 50,000 barrels of pizza sauce. Let's just create in our kitchen something, put it in the jars,
give it to our neighbors.
Give it to our neighbors, see if they like it. It doesn't matter how nice the labels are, but it doesn't taste good. So you test all those little things, and then okay, we'll change this. Oh, it needs a little bit more salt. You do all these things. And then you're at a point where you say, okay, is it a point where you've got that fit going and you could put more fuel on the fire at that point, right? Because it's a spark. It's sparking. Yes. It's good. You don't want to waste money and time putting fuel on something that when there is no spark and it's not going to turn into anything. Like my dad would say, he says, you can stay home and lose money. You don't need to go to work and lose money, right? So let's figure out how not to do that. Yeah. And how we see that the current ecosystem is that we're not going to change lenders overnight, but we wanted to create a product that would fit into that. Where if we were to build this entire portfolio for for BuildShare with all the partners and people who'd be involved, investors, other GPs that are developers that really want to get into doing this. But we also ensure that there's a massive exit at the end of the day, where you can pick and choose what you like. Maybe we build this inventory, and I'm just going to use our initial goal of 10. We build that 10, and a REIT comes by and says, I like these 7. Okay. They don't need to buy all 10. They don't need to buy the whole 100-unit building. They can choose, they could cherry pick and buy these 10 and put those in the REIT. And the way I look at it is that I'd like BuildShare to be so large that that it helps anybody out there who decides, I want to get into infill development. It's going to be very difficult to learn that at school. There's some fundamentals that they're going to be able to teach you. Great. But maybe in the future, we also include those fundamentals. But at the same time, we give people this hands-on ability to go out there. And I don't see it happening just yet, maybe in little pockets here and there. But I think it's a great time that no matter where we end up landing in the future, we are going to create something that where tenants want to live, get a great return for investors, and be proud of what we've built.
I love it. I'm so excited. I definitely, Russell, want to talk more to you about what
I
you
do too. I just think that we're just at the tip of the iceberg right now. There's so many things that we can actually do.
Yeah, definitely. So how can people get in touch with you, Russell?
Absolutely. So easiest way would be to go to buildshare.co.co. We haven't launched a site just yet. Debbie, this is going back to us, making sure that the pizza sauce is good before we do everything else. We wanted to make sure that we have, I want people to understand, don't be afraid just to start something. You don't need to start it where you have to have the right website. You need to make sure that you're prepared and your whole background for your podcast maybe has to be done. Just start it as small as possible and iterate as you go and create value. You don't know what the value is until you get there and test these things out. Every large company out there has done that. So I'm saying that, when you go to the BuildShare on that buildshare.co, you'll see some of the bus tours that we've done. So you can check out those. You can sign up. We have a Infill, a free giveaway on the site, which is an Infill development spreadsheet that people can use right away to just decide if you were looking at some land at a property, how would the project look? Is it feasible? On that as well, I have my own contact, my calendar on that as well. Whether if somebody wanted me to go through the spreadsheet with them, I could do that. We can sit down and talk about the BuildShare projects. I can do that. If they're stuck on their own project and they just want to talk about it to get unstuck and they just wanted to pick my brain, do that. Connect with me. Let's just have a conversation. Don't even overthink it. Go to buildshare.co, connect with me on either LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, in my calendar, pick a time. It's open for people to just pick what works for them. And then we'll have a chat the same way that Debbie, that you and I are right now.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Russell. I mean, I'm actually really energized. Definitely want to have an off the record conversation.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. For sure. I'm looking forward to that.
So many things in our backgrounds and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, you reached out to me and I've been now following you and you are consistently coming, just knocking on the door. Hey, I got this. I love it. The enthusiasm, the consistency is really a big thing that you got going on.
Yeah. And that's what we teach people. Consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yes.
It just has to be consistent. Definitely. And what I love about your business and what you've said today that I want people who are listening for it to resonate is that you did not approach your real estate as a hobby. You approached it.
My goodness.
That's something I did wrong when I first started. Was working in corporate. I was working in corporate and I was doing all these things. I know these cycles for development. I knew about agile development. I was also a process improvement leader. So I knew about solving a problem and all these things.
Debbie, I need to have you on the BuildShare team. Let's let you know.
But yet I then approached my business when it came to real estate like a hobby. And I wasn't putting those things that I was doing in my corporate life into my own real estate. And then I came to point where I had like 5 properties and my desk was a mess and I'm like, Debbie, why don't you have systems? Why haven't you done these things that tell us to organizations that you need to do this, you need to do that, physicians heal thyself.
You got it.
So that's what I love about what you're saying is And for people who are, especially those who are now starting, but even people who are already there and
Yes,
feeling
yes.
overwhelmed, these concepts to come in mind. What value are you bringing? What are you doing that's different? What problem are you solving? Differentiating it.
Because the environment's there. It's just how are you going to fit into it and bring value? I love that. You make a great point, and this is why the whole business aspect of it. And you had mentioned earlier, like, what was the why,
Yes.
right? So you kind of put those things together. There's a reason why someone started it, but then there's got to be
A why for your business.
a why for your business, a why for the business. Connect those two.
Do you have that? I'm looking at your books on there, and I know Simon Sinek has that about the why.
Yes, yeah. The Simon Sinek's got that. I
I
don't
love
have
who,
enough
not
space for all the
how.
other books that are
Yeah.
on there, but that got to go up. Some of these are just the ones that resonated with me the most.
Definitely.
Atomic Habits is an example that.
I think that's amazing. I love
My
that book.
goodness.
I
So,
go back
to
to
the
it
point.
all the time.
Yeah. Do you know they actually have he put out a workbook right now as well, and so all the stuff you're learning in the book, he now has a workbook that you can actually apply. If you have that book, get the
The workbook.
the workbook.
So thank you so much for your time. I know that you're a very busy guy, and I appreciate you having the time for
Debbie,
us
we could talk
to
about
share
this
your
all
knowledge.
day. I would recommend anybody that's out there, follow Debbie. She's going to direct you to things that you've, we've only known each other for a very short period of time. And I'm telling you, I look forward to the emails that you send, that they're going to be, one, inspiring, and two, at the same time, and informative. There's always a takeaway.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And, well, I hope everybody got at least a little value out of today's. I know that just speaking to Russell, I've got so much value out of the conversation with him. Super excited. So, but for now, this is Debbie and Russell out for Let's Talk Real Estate Investing for this episode. Take care.
See you, Debbie. My pleasure.